You all ever hear expressions such as every great ruler falls, or every great leader is dethroned, or every great champion is knocked down? And in this situation, I'm basically going to be talking about this kind of scenario, but with video game developers. As always, Matt here with That's Fair Podcasting and Gaming Geeks Live. And as I've said, in this, I'm going to talk about how the greatest ruling video game developers have seemingly fell. And it's all due to themselves. Anyway, stay tuned. For the longest time, I had like favorites in the video game world as far as developing teams, and these were behemoths, at least at the time. We're talking like BioWare, Bethesda, and Naughty Dog was up there, in my opinion, mind you. But even the likes of, other ones like Obsidian. But anyway, if you are new here, please feel free to subscribe to That's Fair Podcasting or Gaming Geeks Live, whatever channel you watch it on. If maybe like the video to help us in that algorithm, we're kind of throwing ourselves at your mercy with your help. And if you don't do any of those things and you just watch this pointless rambling video, thank you so much. That's what means the most. And thanks for being here. But as you always heard, every great nation falls, every great empire falls, but every ruler is dethroned. Everything that is reigning supreme always finds a way to fall. They're either bettered or they kind of do it to themselves. And in this situation, I feel like it's the video game developers that have kind of done it to themselves. I mean, you've had so many massive hits that go back at least 15, 20 years that just have really, to this day, they still hold up well to the test of time. Maybe not graphically, but story-wise. And you really wish they could replicate that once greatness that they put out there, but they seemingly can't. And why is that? Have they changed with the times? Have they ignored gamers? Do they just think that whatever product they pump out, that's what's going to be the best for you, regardless of whatever feedback you might give them, regardless of what a demographic or any analytical sit there and say, this is dog shit, we don't want it, they're still going to pump it out. And I don't understand that. It's like, we're the people buying your games, we're your consumers, give us the product we want, don't give us the product you want us to have. And I'll never understand that. And it's been that way for a while now. Now, of course, times are shifting. But, I mean, let me start with BioWare. I mean, my first taste of BioWare wasn't any time before 2003. It was right at the time they launched Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. And I remember being blown away. You had these writers that bring you Darth Revan. And the revelation in that game was just epic proportion. Even to this day, I still get chills thinking about it, how well written it was. It gave you your first open world or worlds. Yes, each world was linear and you had a certain narrative path to go on, but you got to explore several different worlds and you could go back and forth to these worlds in the Ebonhawk however much you wanted. I mean, you were a Jedi in an RPG for the first time. I mean, that was revolutionary as far as Star Wars games. Probably the greatest Star Wars video game of all time. Now, thank God Saber Interactive's remaking it, or remastering it, however you want to call it. But I trust Saber Interactive. I don't trust some of the other ones that get the mitts on it. But Saber Interactive, I trust wholeheartedly and cannot wait. And then they, came out with Mass Effect. But even before that, they came out with Jade Empire. Then they came out with the Mass Effect series. And then Dragon Age Origins, which followed an expansion pack called Dragon Age Awakening. Dragon Age 2 was, Dragon Age 3 Inquisition, a little worse, but playable. Don't even get me started on Dragon Age the Veilguard. That's where we're at now. You compare these people, these developing teams that make up these people that most of them have either been pushed out or jumped ship. We know how it's been going. And now these government-funded programs no longer fund these video game developing teams to pump out this slop. Yeah, BioWare made money on pumping out this propaganda bullshit in Dragon Age the Veilguard. Some of these government programs were funding them giving them an excessive amount of money to push this message and get it out there. And we didn't want that shit. And they knew it. But they still did it because they got paid. But did the ends justify the means? I mean, let's look at it objectively, shall we? Really, how well did Dragon Age the Veilguard do, other than being paid privately by these private government funding groups that made them pump this slop out? It did absolute dog shit. The likes of you and me wanted nothing to do with it. We saw what these other YouTubers were putting out there, the Vera Darks and the Asmongold's and the Hypnotics and Smash JTs. We saw everything they were putting out there, that was linking, their channel to those video games. And thanks to them, I have saved I don't know how much money. And that's the point. But why would they want to preach the slop to us? Why would they think that would sell? Did they sell out for the almighty buck at, from these companies in the process of developing these games? Or did they actually sincerely think that they were going to make a lot of money off Dragon Age the Veilguard? It was absolute dog shit. You had Corinne Bush leading it all. My God. Him. Her. Him. These pronoun bullshit. You know what? It's a Dragon Age fantasy setting. Where was all this in the first 3 Dragon Ages? You didn't see it anywhere. Look at the change in the Qunari from the early onset Dragon Age to the shit that they put out in the Veilguard. It's laughable, and they killed the Dragon Age franchise. People like you and me, man, we wanted to play another Grey Warden eventually, or maybe get a remaster. There's nothing they can do to save that franchise. That was a bookend. They sunk it on purpose. BioWare was at Titanic, and they saw the iceberg, and they just like, you know what? Not iceberg right ahead, full steam right ahead into the iceberg. They knew what they were doing, and they knew they were sabotaging it. They got paid on the early onset of it. It didn't matter. Gamers didn't pay them, and it failed, and they lied to you. How many of the journalists kept copy and pasting the same rhetorical bullshit? Back to form. Back to form. Dragon Age is back to form. No, it wasn't. You didn't need to mess with it. You just needed to give us a little bit of what the old school developers gave us and just kind of, sprinkle in your own new type of IP with it or new kind of engine with it. And you couldn't do that. You chose to preach to us about woke garbage. Another example would be Naughty Dog. I didn't get into Naughty Dog, honestly, until I actually jumped in the Uncharted, playing Nathan Drake. And I love that. And I think it was Lost Legacies, a kind of a spin-off. And I absolutely love those games. And then I actually fell in love with the first Last of Us. But in 2020, when The Last of Us Part 2 came out, the writing was on the wall. You had Neil Druckmann and you had his crew, who he doesn't own the company. No, he doesn't own it. But he's like the president or whatever. He was given that position and he totally fucked it up. And I'm saying he messed it up in a way that, quite literally, look at the television, look at season 2 of the series, The Last of Us. That speaks volumes. Neil Druckmann, where you at, man? Where you at? Naughty Dog was awesome. And this is what we got. And I cringe at Intergalactic the Heretic Space Prophet. I think that's what it's called. I won't buy it. I'll watch the review. I'll watch it on Twitch. I'm not going to buy it. And I have a feeling that this is going to be the kiss of death for Naughty Dog. Sincerely. Look at Sucker Punch. Why couldn't we, it'll be short on Sucker Punch. They haven't made enough for me to really hammer them. And they're not really the behemoth, but my God, look what they did with the Jin Sakai story with the Ghost of Tsushima. And now we're getting the Ghost of Yotei. You're getting a female protagonist, which I don't mind. But we kind of were left off thinking we were going to finish Jin Sakai's story. And I think they realize they messed up. You made a mistake, man. And I think they know it. And hopefully we get to finish Jin Sakai's story. I can't really call Sucker Punch out yet. But I think they're on that track of calling themselves out. Ubisoft. My first early taste of Ubisoft were the Prince of Persias. And then in 2007, the Assassin's Creed began a franchise that literally, all the way to 2020, when Assassin's Creed Valhalla was released, it literally netted them a revenue of over $1 billion. It did that well. Now, of course, they were kind of price gouging the ever-loving piss out of us. with all this different loot, all these armors, all these weapons. I mean, honestly, it's an incomplete game when you don't add all that shit in there. But they made their money off of it, and they did what they did. But then they came out with Assassin's Creed Mirage, which was just dull, too linear for its own good, and then Assassin's Creed Shadows, where they bring in, have you not seen the studio that was behind that? I mean, it was a cluster from the beginning. I mean, let's be honest. And I swear to God, you had the head of Sweet Baby Inc. herself, Kim Bolair, in there. You can see a picture of her with this huge group of people that worked on this game. So you know she had her hand in it. What Sweet Baby Inc. is the kiss of death. But they decided to go with a main protagonist being African in a feudal Japanese setting. I mean, if you're going to do historical accuracy, you idiots should have literally dropped to someone like Hattori Hanzo, the legendary ninja, a Japanese one. Or look, if you wanted a Kunoichi, that's fine, even though they are no real record of them existing. A female, look, why couldn't you give us that option of the gender choice of the male and female, like you did in Odyssey and like you did in Valhalla? You literally sabotaged that game on purpose, and all you can give us are numbers of players. You refuse to release sales numbers, and now you're hiding behind the whole, well, Ubisoft, they don't give out sales figures. Well, you did with Valhalla, you have with Odyssey. Every game before that. Where are Shadow's numbers? We're daring you. We as gamers are daring you to give us your actual sales numbers, because what are you up to, 5 million players? And these are on all these streaming sites. These people will download this game, play it for 5 minutes. That still counts as a player. And I promise you, your masses started that and they're like, what in the ever-loving dog shit is this? I promise you they did. And some of us, again, these YouTubers that helped us out, you know, I left a bunch of them out, like Legendary Drops and others. These people have warned us off about it, and they're the reason us gamers have saved money. So we owe them a debt. And Ubisoft, you can't climb out of this. 10 cents on your ass, man, and it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. And I think Tencent could be the best thing to happen to the Assassin's Creed franchise, because we're already hearing about their next one, Hex, how it's a largely feministic-driven video game. Yay! I can't wait. I mean, you know, and let's use another smaller one, for example. Let's use Obsidian for an example. I mean, they did Fallout Vegas. I mean, they're pretty much doing the leftovers of these other video games. They did KOTOR 2, The Sith Lords, picking up the slack for BioWare, Fallout Vegas for Bethesda. I mean, you know, my favorite video game by Obsidian was Alpha Protocol. Unpopular opinion. Yeah, they've had some others, but let's be realistic with Avowed. I mean, what does that dude say? Is it Matt Hansen? I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but one of their art directors or something is just bumping his gums towards not wanting crusty old white people in his developing team or something, how he wants to replace it with someone of color. And that's great. I mean, as long as they're based on merit and they're actually good at what they do, who gives a shit what the skin color is? But it's to fill a quota. And he bumps his gums just going on and on about, well, he even calls himself a crusty old white man or something. I'll show you the link in there, but or whatever. I'll show you the paragraph in there. But yeah, Obsidian, they just turned to absolute dog shit. Now, let's go to Bethesda. I can't hammer Bethesda, but I can't really defend them either. What was their last great one? It wasn't Starfield. Starfield to me is this massive, huge game. It's like calling it an ocean-sized game with only ankle-high water all the way across the ocean. There's no depth. Yeah, you can go anywhere you want, but it is as boring as all be. I mean, I tried it. I finished it once. You were supposed to. How many times were you supposed to play that and ultimately get the different alien armors and whatnot, or something like that? You could barely make it through it once. I mean, Todd Howard was so up on just wanting to add more and more to it, and if it makes it better, great. But Starfield is a fail. it started in Skyrim. Skyrim might be the greatest console video game of all time. But you could see the writing on the wall with that one, with the lack of real story-driven content. To me, the best story was Dawnguard, the DLC. But it was just, I mean, the Greybeards were interesting, but you know, the story wasn't what Oblivion would give you. Definitely wasn't what Morrowind gave you. And I gotta tell you, I am fearful for Elder Scrolls 6, especially if they want to keep it along the same engine and in the same line as Starfield. Because we're going to get a large open world game and you're going to feel alone in that like you did in Starfield. How many NPCs did you run into on some of these cities in Starfield, like Aquila City and all these other ones, where, yes, it was heavily crowded, but you never felt more alone because there was no depth to any of these characters. I mean, you had Ryujin Industries, which is kind of an interesting quest to get the stealth armor, but in all honesty, you couldn't really keep any of these people with you. You have Sarah Morgan, you have Andrasia, you have some of these other people, but their stories are so shallow, and it's sad. And I guess where I'm going with this entire rant is the fact that you have all these behemoth video game developing teams that for so long stood at the top of the hill, you know, king of the hill, looking down on these other creators like these other developers, these small independent teams and whatnot, looking down on them going, you're not us, you'll never be us. And we knew it. No matter what else we delved into, we knew they couldn't be a Bethesda. And at that time of BioWare, especially before EA got their hooks into them, you know, and, you know, Naughty Dog, you had all these different developing teams that were literally just giving us gold, and now all we're getting from them is fucking rust. And is there hope? I think there is, in the form of Archetype Entertainment with Exodus coming out, former devs from BioWare that saw the writing on the wall, jump ship, and they have their own new space RPG IP coming out in Exodus, and then Rebel Wolves with CD Projekt Red. I can't really bust CD Projekt Red's balls yet, but I mean, you know, I'm not sure. I can't dog The Witcher 4 yet. It didn't look good at first, but I think it's going to be okay. I really do. But you had some former people from CD Projekt Red jump ship, form Rebel Wolves, and you have Blood of Dawnwalker. So there is hope at the end of it all. There's light at the end of the proverbial tunnel, and I think we have something to look forward to. Now, before I let you go, I gotta say, Rockstar right now probably still the main behemoth. And I think no matter what we hear and see about GTA 6, a new delay, putting it out till closer to the end of 2026, it could be delayed again, but who knows? But with everything you hear, that game in its first couple of weeks will probably still sell at least 1 billion copies. Don't be surprised if it does. It's the most anticipated video game of all time. And right now, Rockstar is standing tall as still the king, and they have yet to be knocked off that pedestal. We'll see what GTA 6 has to offer. I will be purchasing it either way. But anyway, guys, that's really all I had. A rant about how what goes up eventually has to come down, and that's a lot of the video game companies that I have mentioned. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this. If you found it interesting enough, please give us a like. Helps us out in that algorithm, and you know, we're at your mercy. Like I said, subscribe to That's Fair Podcasting with Gaming Geeks Live if you don't mind. Would sincerely appreciate it. And if you didn't do anything like that and you just wanted to watch this video and you managed to make it to the end, thank you so much. It's sincerely appreciated. And to all you gamers, all love, and I'm outro.